Well, the off-day practice for the Penguins and the Capitals, two different buildings here in D.C., but both teams left fairly confident that they're going to be going into Game 2 tomorrow night with a game plan for victory. Penguins are a little more confident than most teams would be after losing Game 1. Now, it's important, though, for them to get off the schneid here in Game 2. The Penguins have yet to win a playoff series during the Sidney Crosby era when they've lost Game 1 of the series. The first time they made the playoffs under Crosby, they lost Game 1 against Ottawa and lost that series in 5 games. And of course, last year in the Stanley Cup Final, they lost Game 1 at Detroit. They lost that final in 6 games. They lost Game 1 Saturday here against Washington, but defenseman Brooks Orpik, who's been on the team for each of those playoff defeats, said that's not really a big concern of his. He doesn't think it'll have any carryover. What's the difference between trailing a series and being up 1-0?
I don't know. I mean, look at these guys. They were just down 3-1. They came right back. So it was. I think it's as much as you put into it, really. I mean, you take it game by game, whether you're up or down. That's all. I think our mentality has been all year. It's never get too high or too low. And, this group's been pretty good at coming back. Even in the regular season, we dug ourselves pretty big holes. So, I don't know. Guys are pretty loose today, pretty confident today. So I don't foresee it being too big an obstacle for us, even though we haven't faced it before.
One thing the Penguins would love to carry over into Game 2 is the continued offensive attack that they were able to sustain against Washington. Trouble is for the Penguins right now is they're not getting a whole lot of goal scoring from their wingers, or really anybody other than Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. Malkin hasn't even scored in 4 games, so it's pretty much been Crosby the past few. And there's a lot of guys on this team, Chris Kunitz, Bill Guerin, Ruslan Fedotenko, Peter Sikora, Jordan Staal, who, even though at times some of those individuals have played well, there's also been times where they know they need to start putting pucks in the net, because after all, that is what they are paid to do. Staal talked about that and what it's like to have confidence from generating offense, but maybe a little bit of frustration from not scoring goals. You just on shift-by-shift figure, if we keep doing that, eventually they'll come.
Yeah, I think it's our whole team mentality that the more we wear them down, the more we play in the offensive zone, obviously the better chance we're going to have to win every game. And our line's trying to lead that example by example, and obviously it'd be nice to get a couple more goals and help obviously top 2 lines.
The key for the Penguins going into Game 2 of this series tomorrow night in Washington, if they're going to take it back to Pittsburgh even at 1 game apiece, certainly is going to be the power play. And when you look at this power play, hasn't scored in 4 games. It's won for its last 27. This is not a power play that is clicking at all. Chris Letang talked about how they needed to really go after them, and them being the Capitals, and really put more pucks on the net. Generally, are they telling you guys to shoot more?
Yeah. I mean, it's
I'm not asking just you. It's just all of you.
It's everyone when you have a chance to shoot it. But obviously, right now we don't bring any shot on that, so it's going to be really important to focus on that and try to get some rebound from there. I'm going to try to bring more shot and be closer to the net, ready for rebounds and stuff like this.
And one way they may be able to do that is by putting Bill Guerin, a right-handed shot in the slot, in place of Chris Kunitz. Guerin practiced there today for the Penguins, and you got to think that maybe that's one of the tweaks they might make to get this power play jump-started. Power play went 0 for 5 against the Capitals, and Guerin, a veteran of this league who scored many power play goals, thinks that they might be onto something with some of the new approaches that they were practicing on Sunday.
Guys, do you feel it's just a matter of time before the power play starts clicking again?
Well, you don't want to just leave it to that. It's just a matter of time. Well, yeah, it's just a matter of time, but we don't have a ton of time. It's something that we have to get better at quickly. And, maybe just a little more determination, a little more simplicity, and we'll be okay.
So there you have it. The Penguins really not all that concerned about being down 1-0 when they like to be up 1-0, absolutely. But they still feel like they're playing the game the way they need to play. They'd like to improve on that a little. Most of the Penguins, again, today after practice talked about they think 5-on-5 they're the better team in this series. Now, we know the Capitals are saying the same thing over there. So it's going to be interesting. Game 2, Penguins last year in the final, down 0-2 in the Stanley Cup Final. By the time they got back on track, the series was pretty much over. This is a big game. Teams that win Game 2 win about 75% of the series in the NHL. So that's your update from Sunday and your Trib Total Media vlog. I'm Penguins beat writer Rob Rossi.